What's good, guys? What is good? I look like a thug. No, I'm just kidding. What's good, guys? I hope you guys are having a great day. I hope you guys are having an amazing day, guys. We are back at it again with the last minute full card predictions for UFC 311. We're going to be breaking down this entire card, starting with the early prelims, ending with the main event. We all know Arman Tsarukyan ended up pulling out. He ended up having an injury due to him cutting a lot of weight. And many concluded that he ends up pulling out. So, shout out to the people who called it. He ends up pulling out. Now, we're now to Moicano, who's set to face off against Beneil Dariush. Who, shout out to Dariush. That guy's been getting... He has had a bad year so far. Because now he's not favored. Now he's not in a matchup that's favorable for him for UFC 311. That matchup is out. Now we're going for UFC 311. Main event will be Moicano versus Makhachev. I think it's going to be an amazing fight. I do think this might look like maybe glimpses of Korean Zombie versus Volk. But we'll get into that. So let's go. Start off with the first fight. Tagir Ulanbekov versus Clayton Carpenter. This is going to be freeze frame because I don't want to get a copyright strike. But let's go into it. Earlier in the week, minus 290 for Tagir. Clayton Carpenter was a plus 215. Now that we're talking about it, Tagir Ulanbekov is a minus 330 versus Clayton Carpenter, who's a plus 265. We know Tagir's bread and butter's dominant wrestling, all 4 wins in the UFC, 12 takedowns. Although he did lose to Tim Elliott in the first fight of the prelims, but that was 3.5 years ago. We know he was set to face off against Joshua Van, but that fight canceled due to him missing weight. I'm happy that everybody made weight, guys, and I'm happy that the UFC is able to make these fights so that we always have something to look forward to. So that way, even when there's a last-minute pullout, there's always a fight to look forward to. Unfortunately, we used to have 14 fights, now 13, but one less fight. We still have the banger main event, banger co-main event, and we have banger main card. So let's go. Obviously, we know Clayton is only 28 years old. He's a really good grappler, cardio king, always looks to wrestle. His most recent win is over Lucas Racha with beautiful wrestling, but not that good striking, in my opinion. Tagir is a true vet taking on an uppercomer. We know Clayton is undefeated. He looks really young. Just looking at the face-offs, it looks like Clayton Carpenter is astonished by what he's seeing in front of him. We know Tagir Ulanbekov is huge. He looked huge against Mighty Mouse, so we know this is going to be an absolute banger fight. My best props for this fight, I'm going to read you an entire list, and then I'm going to give you my best props. Tagir by points, minus 110. Tagir by sub, plus 430. Tagir by KO, plus 850. Clayton by points, plus 410. Clayton by KO, plus 1,200. Clayton by sub, plus 2,000. Over 2.5, minus 290. Under 2.5, plus 215. Tagir by sub or points, minus 230. Tagir by KO or points, minus 165. Clayton by KO or points, plus 290. Clayton by submission or points, plus 330. Fight ends by points, minus 250. I'm going to tell you guys my best props right here, and I'll tell you them right now. My best props are Tagir by points, minus 110. And I like Tagir by submission or on points at a minus 230. And then I like the over 2.5 at a minus 290. But if you don't like the over 2.5, why don't we just do fight ends by points at a minus 250? It ends up reducing, and you get more value in the fight ends by points at a minus 250. If Tagir ends up winning by unanimous decision no matter what, Tagir by KO on points at a minus 165 would be absolutely perfect money line. In my opinion, I think this fight is going to be a little bit more competitive than a lot of people expect it to be. A lot of people are heavy on Clayton Carpenter, and they like his wrestling, his grappling. And I know he's fairly new to the UFC and fairly new to pro fighting, but this guy will put on a good performance against a guy like Tagir Ulanbekov, and I expect him to have a good career in the UFC. So I like Tagir by points at a minus 110. I like Tagir by submission plus 430, just a little sprinkle just in case. But give me fight ends by points at a minus 250, and give me Tagir by submission on points at a minus 230, and Tagir by points at a minus 110. Excuse me, I think he should be able to win this fight by unanimous decision. Let's go, my boy Tagir. Let's go. Now we're going to go on to the next fight. It's going to be freeze framed, guys. So obviously, if it takes a little bit while to load, it's because it's freeze frame. I can't show the whole video, but bear with me. We know Ricky Turcios was a plus 240 earlier in the week. Benardo Sopaj was a minus 330. Now, when we look at it, plus 210 for Ricky Turcios. Benardo Sopaj is a minus 265. It's going to be an absolute banger fight, in my opinion. Honestly, this fight was supposed to happen at UFC Vegas 100 a few months back, but it was canceled. The more time Sopaj has between his last fight the better, in my opinion. We know Ricky's volume is push, 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 but his accuracy is terrible, but has volume on top of volume on top of volume. Just recently lost to Raul Rosas Jr. by submission. Sopaj is a victim of one of the worst KOs of 2024, but we all know that. We all know that he's coming back and he's trying to have his first one in the UFC. We know Ricky Turcios looks like he's a little bit taller. He looks like a crazy guy. He looks scary. He looks menacing. And it looks like it's man versus boy type of fight. But I do think Sopaj should be able to win this fight. He had a lot of success against Vinicius Oliveira, who's faced off against Said Nurmagomedov at UFC Saudi Arabia. Izzy versus Imavov, so that tells you how good Vinicius Oliveira is. I think with this step down in competition, Sopaj should be able to win this fight. It's just a matter of how is he going to be able to win this fight. Sopaj by points, plus 115. Sopaj by KO, plus 380. Sopaj by sub, plus 850. Turcios by points, plus 410. Turcios by sub, plus 1,100. Turcios by KO, plus 1,000. Will this fight go the distance? Yes. Minus 176. No, plus 138. I like it. Yes, at a minus 176. 175. Over 2.5. Minus 215. Under 2.5, plus 164. I think we're all expecting this fight to go over 2.5. The over 2.5 should be able to hit unless Ricky Turcios has an injury or he ends up getting hurt and wobbled or finished by submission. We do know that the bookies expect this fight to go the distance. Fight ends by points, minus 185. Turcios by KO or points, plus 270. Sopaj by KO or points, minus 195. Sopaj by submission or points, minus 130. I do like the double chance for this fight because we do know that Sopaj is a guy who's going to bring everything. I'll take Sopaj, and I'll take him Sopaj by KO on points at a minus 195. I'll take how will this fight end if you have it on your book. Well, you know what? I'll just take will this fight go the distance? Yes, at a minus 176. I'll take Sopaj by KO on points at a minus 195. And then I'll take Sopaj by points at a plus 115. Let's go. Let me know what you guys think of that because let's see how tough Ricky Turcios is because he could end up getting submitted or finished in this fight. It's going to be an absolute banger fight, but give me Benardo Sopaj to win by unanimous decision. Rinya Nakamura versus Muin Gafurov. Absolute banger fight. We know Rinya Nakamura is smiling. He's happy. He's just happy to be there, and he's just happy to scrap. Rinya Nakamura was a minus 480. Muin Gafurov was a plus 330. Now, a day before the fight, minus 650 for Rinya Nakamura. Muin Gafurov plus 440. Japanese prospect screams free money is what I wrote in my notes a week ago. We know that we know what we get with Rinya. Amazing grappling, real wrestling, real grappling, amazing control, mixed with explosive power, 9 wins, 6 stoppages. His most recent win is over Carlos Vera. Gafurov is a guy who is very well-rounded, not the best IQ, but very fundamentally sound. He just beat Kong Ho Kang, but prior to that, lost to Said Nurmagomedov and John Castaneda. I'll take Rinya for the win. We do know, though, I think a lot of people are very high on Rinya Nakamura, especially the way that they put him in the bout. He's going to be one of the first fights on the prelims. He's going to perform, and he should be able to get the whole crowd hyped up for UFC 311. I will say, guys, Rinya by points, minus 115, is one of my best props. I think it should go the distance, but he does have a lot of stoppage wins. Rinya by KO, plus 360. Rinya by sub, plus 500. Gafurov by points, plus 1,000. A little bit of a Hail Mary. Gafurov by sub or points, plus 700. Gafurov by KO or points, plus 550. A little bit of a Hail Mary, but nothing's impossible. Over 2.5, minus 192. Under 2.5, plus 150. I like the over 2.5. Fight ends by points, minus 165. Yes, I like it. Will this fight go the distance? Yes, at a minus 156. No, at a plus 122. I think Rinya by points, minus 115. And I do like to sprinkle a little Rinya Nakamura, just to sprinkle it. Rinya Nakamura by KO at a plus 360, sprinkle it. But I'll take Rinya by points at a minus 115, Rinya by KO, sprinkle at a plus 360, and give me that the fight ends. Will this fight go the distance? Yes, at a minus 156. Honestly, in my opinion, it's a 1-800-gambler type of fight. I'm not touching it unless I'm touching Rinya by points. Honestly, it's a lot of juice. There's a lot of heavy favorites on this entire card, but give me Rinya Nakamura to win this fight by unanimous decision. I'll take him by points at a minus 115, and I'll sprinkle the KO prop at a plus 360, but in my opinion, I think he should be able to win this fight by unanimous decision. Will this fight go the distance? Yes, at a minus 156, just in case he ends up losing by unanimous decision. Let's go. On to the next one, 854, let's go. Karol Rosa versus Ailín Pérez. We know this is the only women's MMA fight on the entire card. Minus 210 for Karol Rosa. Ailín Pérez was a plus 162. Now, the day before the fight, minus 265 for Karol Rosa. Ailín Pérez is a plus 210. I will say Karol Rosa has the volume on her side. A decision merchant with 12 takedowns in the UFC. Well, 12 takedowns in 10 UFC fights. 68% takedown defense, which will be tested in this fight. Now she's taking on the professional twerker, the OnlyFans queen, Ailín Pérez. Grapple, grapple, grapple. She needs wrestling. Without the takedown, she might be in trouble. Her cardio can sometimes fail her, but once on top, she maintains control and looks for the sub. Her most recent fight, she missed weight and smoked Daria. So we have to pay attention to that. I expected her to make weight. She ended up making weight, but I expected her to struggle a little bit, but she didn't really struggle that much. Karol Rosa has grown as a massive favorite throughout the week and throughout the month. Seems like Ailín Pérez just needs one takedown. I like the plus 3.5 for Ailín Pérez. But guys, I'm making an official pick flip, guys. Unfortunately, I'm really heavy on Ailín Pérez. I think she should be able to win this fight. Honestly, everybody would be excited if she can win this fight and have a beautiful celebration. But, guys, I'm going to go Karol Rosa. I'm going to tell you guys all the props, though, first, and then we're going to go. But this is an official pick flip. I'm going Karol Rosa to win this fight. Karol Rosa by points, minus 130. Karol Rosa by KO, plus 1,000. Rosa by sub, plus 750. Hail Mary. Pérez by points, plus 290. Pérez by sub, plus 1,400. Which is crazy. A submission is definitely possible for Ailín Pérez at a plus 1,400. Why wouldn't you sprinkle that? Maybe because you don't have that much faith in Pérez, but it's definitely likely. Pérez by KO plus 2,400, not as likely. Rosa by KO or points, minus 185. Rosa by submission on points, minus 210. Pérez by sub or points, plus 220. Pérez by KO or points, plus 240. So if you're going to take Pérez, I guess you can take Pérez by submission on points at a plus 220, which you get a little bit more juice. Over 2.5, minus 550. Honestly, I like the over 2.5. It's safe. Under 2.5, plus 350. It's too juiced, though, at a minus 550. Fight ends by points, minus 410. Give me Karol Rosa by points at a minus 130. I'll take the over 2.5 at a minus 550, just in case there's a late third round TKO. And then I'll take Karol Rosa by submission on points at a minus 210. Honestly, we get the price tag from minus 265 to minus 210, and we're playing the double chance to play it safe. I'll take that. Give me Karol Rosa to win this fight by unanimous decision. I'll go 29-28 after losing the first round of getting grappled heavy. Ailín Pérez ends up gassing and ends up losing the second and third round. Let's go Karol Rosa. Let's go. 10:07. This card is absolutely stacked. Bangers on top of bangers. Do you guys know who this is? This is my lock of the week. Lock of the week time, guys. Grant, Baby Chin Dawson, minus 340 versus Diego Ferreira, plus 250. But now, the day before the fight, Grant Dawson, minus 250. Diego Ferreira, plus 198. Massive, massive. Because the day that I made him my lock of the week, he was a minus 280. The fact that he's a minus 250 now means a lot of money is coming in heavy on Diego Ferreira. Me personally, I said he was the most boring fighter, but that award could go easily to somebody else. You can say it could go easily to somebody else. Maybe it goes to him. You choose. Grant Dawson averages around 4 takedowns per fight. His bread and butter is relentless pressure. Decent on the feet, but got KO'd by Bobby Green, who is a volume puncher. And if you're getting flat out KO'd by Bobby Green, who's a volume puncher, not the best look. We do know, though, he does have the heavy grappling. He's coming off of that heavy ground and pound win over Rafa Garcia, now taking on Diego Ferreira. An absolute BJJ machine with hands of stone, a grappler at heart but solid striking. Low takedown accuracy at 30%, but he should be the better striker. His takedown defense is at 60%. He is always fighting a wrestler, Beneil Dariush, Gregor Gillespie, Gamrot, coming off of that dogfight win over Mateusz Rebecki, where he was dropped, taken down over and over again, but he never stopped. Pick your poison. Diego inside the distance or Grant Dawson by KO or decision. In my opinion, I think this is my lock of the week, guys, so I'm a little bit biased, but I made sure I find a good lock of the week. In my opinion, I took Grant Dawson, but we're going to look at the props. Diego Ferreira inside the distance, no action is very good if you have that option. Grant Dawson by points, plus 160. Grant Dawson by KO plus 270. Grant Dawson by sub plus 750. Ferreira by points plus 500. Ferreira by sub plus 1000. And Diego Ferreira by KO plus 650. Which we know, if Diego Ferreira is going to win this fight, he could win like a split decision. But he has power, so at a plus 650 for him to win by KO, that's not bad. It's worth a sprinkle. Fight goes the distance, yes, minus 112, no, minus 112. Honestly, I'll take yes that this fight goes the distance. But if you think it doesn't, it's a pick 'em no matter what. I recommend you take one of them in a slip. You never know. Over 2.5, minus 142. Under 2.5, plus 112. In my opinion, the difference between the over 2.5 and the fight going the distance is 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Within 2 minutes and 30 seconds, we know Rebecca was able to get finished by Ferreira. We know the same thing could happen here. But one thing I'm going to say is I'd rather take will this fight go the distance? Yes, at a minus 112 than take the over 2.5 at a minus 142 because you get more value. And there's only 2 minutes and 30 seconds in between. Dawson by KO or points, minus 175. Dawson by sub or points, plus 105. Ferreira by KO on points, plus 260. I'll take Dawson by sub or points, plus 105. Dawson by KO on points, minus 175. And then I'll take, will this fight go the distance? Yes, at a minus 112. Just in case it doesn't go the distance, I'm covered on both sides. Let's go. But if you want Diego Ferreira, you could take Diego Ferreira by KO or points at a plus 260. That's perfect. Excuse me, guys. But in my opinion, Diego Ferreira by KO on points, if you're heavy on the dog, is perfect. He could get a KO, and if he ends up not winning by KO, he still could win by unanimous decision. But this is my lock, dog. So I'm going to give you guys Dawson by sub or points, plus 105. Dawson by KO or points, minus 175. And this fight goes the distance at a minus 112. Let's go. 11:24. We know that this fight's an absolute banger as well. Billy Elekana versus Bogdan Guskov. This fight was originally supposed to be Bogdan Guskov versus Johnny Walker, but it ends up not being Bogdan Guskov versus Johnny Walker, and it ends up actually being Bogdan Guskov versus Billy Elekana. Sorry, guys. I got the timestamp wrong. Plus 280 for Billy Elekana. Bogdan Guskov minus 370. We know that this is going to be an absolute banger fight. Originally, Bogdan Guskov was supposed to face Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker pulled out due to an injury. And we know that Bogdan Guskov is a minus 370, so he's an even bigger favorite than he was originally. Plus 280 for Billy Elekana. Billy Elekana is making his UFC debut. He has 3 KOs in round 1 and 4 KOs in round 2, mixed with some decisions. This will be a fight taking place on the feet. And I don't think this fight's going the distance. I imagine Guskov to be a massive favorite when the odds drop, is what I wrote. Guskov by KO, minus 155. Guskov by sub, plus 1,500. Guskov by points, plus 500. Elekana by points, plus 750. Elekana by sub, plus 1,200. Elekana by KO, plus 750. Over 1.5, minus 102. Under 1.5, minus 126. Will this fight go the distance? Yes, plus 280. Nah. No, minus 400. Guskov by KO or points, minus 300. Guskov by sub or points, plus 380. Elekana by KO or points, plus 370. And then Elekana by sub or points, plus 500. In my opinion, the best props for me, I like over 1.5 at a minus 102. The over or under. I like the over 1.5 at a minus 102. I like Guskov by KO at a minus 155, and then I like Guskov by KO on points at a minus 300. I think he should be able to win this fight, and I think he should be able to just knock out Billy Elekana. If he's not, then Billy Elekana might knock him out. I think this fight's not going the distance, and I think the fight should end by KO. So let's go. Guskov by KO. I'll go round 2 KO. Let's go. 12:31. Let's go. This is an absolute banger fight. Another reschedule bout too. Zach Reese versus Azamat Bekoev. We know Zach Reese. This guy is a guy who wins consistently as a dog. Azamat is a minus 200. Zachary Reese is a plus 160. We know Zachary Reese was supposed to face off against Cedric Dumas, but unfortunately, Cedric Dumas was not able to. He pulled out the week of the fight. The week of the fight, we have 3 people pulling out. Zach Reese, the moneymaker, a guy who can fight for your money, 6'4", a beast, very well-rounded, but has hands made out of stone, can wrestle on the ground, and he's a BJJ expert from the top and bottom. Sometimes he hangs out too much, looking for a sub, but that's fine. His win over Jose Medina, his most recent win is over Jose Medina. His one loss is to Cody. After he kept on holding for the triangle, got lifted and slammed. We know Azamat Bekoev comes from LFA. His most recent win is over Chansey Foxworth. Correct me if I pronounce that wrong. With a clean right hook KO in round 2. He has 4 wins in LFA. 75% are by... Okay, he has 4 wins in LFA. 75% are by decision. 25%, the other 25%, are a mix of submissions and KOs. Azamat's rear naked choke, his guillotine, and his arm triangle are very, very good. I think this fight doesn't go the distance, so we're going to look at the best props. I think this fight is definitely not going to go the distance. Back off by points, plus 230. Back off by KO, plus 280. Zach Reese by points, plus 650. Zach Reese by KO, plus 500. Zach Reese by sub, plus 600. Just in case Zach Reese could get a sub, over 2.5, plus 106. Under 2.5, minus 134. Will this fight go the distance? Yes, plus 138. No, minus 176. Azamat Bekoev by KO or points, minus 130. Zach Reese by KO or sub, plus 250. Zach Reese by KO or points, plus 250. It's the same thing. Fight ends by KO, plus 145. Fight ends by points, plus 130. I like fight ends by KO, plus 145. I like the under 2.5 at a minus 134. And then I like Azamat by KO or on points at a minus 130. Those are my best props. I think Azamat should be able to win this fight. Originally, I was very high on Zach Reese, but unfortunately, I think this guy's going to be looking to wrestle. Maybe it might be a sloppy decision, but I do think somebody's going to get finished in this fight. So give me Azamat to win by KO or on points at a minus 130. Let's go. 1346. Man, this card is absolutely amazing. Payton Talbott versus Raoni Barcelos. This is another banger matchup. Guys, I gotta pause it right here. I gotta pause it right here. Hang on. I didn't get the right time. Right here, this face-off. You guys already know who I'm going with. You guys already know who I'm going with. Payton Talbott minus 1,100. Now he's a minus 1,300. Payton Talbott minus 1,300. Raoni Barcelos plus 730. Talbott, his biggest test. Guys, I'm heavy on Talbott. You know Talbott, he's one of my favorite fighters to watch. Not because of all the zesty stuff he does outside the cage, but because of how he performs inside the cage. This guy's a technician at heart. A technician, born a technician. And a guy like Talbott is a guy who's so clean. A guy who will dismantle a guy like Raoni Barcelos, in my opinion. I do think he has aura. Some people say he doesn't have as much aura because he doesn't have his hair no more. But I do think Raoni Barcelos being 37 years old in bantamweight is a major factor. He just beat Christian Cayones, but Talbott, on the other hand, the UFC wants this guy to be a star. Flashy, fluid, and he knows how to enter his flow state. I hope he puts on a performance better than Manel Cap. I hope his 1-2 is even better. His accuracy is even better. Very good get-up game as well. He's been out-grappled before, but he gets very better every single fight. He's coming off of that super quick KO win over Yanis Gamori, now taking on Raoni Barcelos. A guy who father time may be his own demise. A good striker, good low kicks, good pace, and he's a 5-time Brazilian national champion. Averages around 2 takedowns per fight, and he has an 85% takedown defense. Very well-rounded. Most recent win, which we mentioned earlier, was Christian Cayones. If Raoni Barcelos can wrestle, he can take a round off of Talbott. Maybe the plus 3.5 if you're heavy on, if you don't really like Talbott, you could take the plus 3.5 on Raoni Barcelos. I do think Talbott's going to make this look... It's either Talbott by decision or Talbott by KO. I'm going to read all the props. In my opinion, Talbott inside the distance. Payton Talbott by KO, minus 170. Talbott by sub, plus 750. Talbott by points, plus 320. Raoni by KO or points, plus 1,000. Raoni by sub or points, plus 950. I took the double chance. Well, I put both of the double chances for Raoni Barcelos because I figured it's already a massive amount of plus money. Over 1.5, minus 166. Under 1.5, plus 130. I like the over 1.5 in my opinion. Maybe Talbott said he wanted to have a little bit more ring time, more octagon time. So does this fight go past 7.5 minutes or no? I think it does. And I think the over 1.5 at a minus 166 is pretty good considering that the favorite is a minus 1,300. Fight ends by KO, minus 185. Fight ends by points, plus 230. My best props are Payton Talbott by KO at a minus 170. Heavy. And then the over 1.5 at a minus 166. So it's just going to be 2 guys. Honestly, we could take double chance. but it's going to be juiced. It's going to be juiced to the absolute grills. I'm going to, honestly, in my opinion, I'll just take Payton Talbott. We'll look at the double chance just to make sure, just because there's always a chance that this goes the distance. We're going to look at it and we're going to make sure. Double chance, Payton Talbott by KO or on points is a minus 490. Honestly, that's not that bad if you want to use him as a parlay piece. Give me Payton Talbott by KO minus 170. Payton Talbott by KO on points at a minus 490. And I'll take the over 1.5 at a minus 166. Let's go, Talbott. Let's go. Let's go. His celebration is by far one of the best. 1454. Let's go. Reinier de Ridder versus Kevin Holland, guys. Unfortunately, I can't play the play. It's going to be freezed frame by frame. Kevin Holland was a minus 125. Reinier de Ridder was a minus 102. Now, the day before the fight, Kevin Holland's a plus 106. Reinier de Ridder's a minus 130. My favorite fight on the entire card. My most anticipated fight on the entire card. This fight's going to get goofy. This fight's going to get hilarious. And these guys might talk back and forth. These guys, look at what Kevin Holland was saying. He was making fun of Reinier de Ridder and the way he looks or something. He was like, what? Like, what? You look like, or something. I don't know what exactly he said, but this is an absolute banger fight. Kevin Holland does better against strikers. Kevin Holland recently lost to Roman Dolidze, was taken down, broken his rib, and the fight ended. Now Kevin Holland has taken the former 2-division champion, Reinier de Ridder, the former 2-division 1FC champion. Obviously, we know that grappling is his bread and butter. 6'4". His most recent win was to GM3, where he got dropped. Minus 1-800 gambler type of fight, but my most anticipated fight on the entire card. RDR by sub plus 290, RDR by KO plus 1000, RDR by points plus 280, Holland by KO plus 210, Holland by sub plus 1200, Holland by points plus 600. Fight goes the distance, yes, plus 160, no, minus 210, over 2.5 plus 116, under 2.5 minus 146, RDR by sub or points minus 110, Holland by KO or points plus 120. I figured pick your poison. It's either going to be RDR by submission or points, minus 110, or Holland by KO on points at a plus 120. In my opinion, I like RDR by submission on points at a minus 110. I like Reinier de Ridder money line at a minus 130. And then I like, will this fight go the distance? No, at a minus 210. Honestly, I think this fight should be in Reinier de Ridder's hands. He should be able to win this fight. It's going to be a very tough fight, very close fight, very goofy fight. He might get dropped in this fight, but I expect his recovery to act like a spring right back up, get back in the game, get your head back in the game. You face planted, DDP face planted against Israel Adesanya, and he still won that fight. So give me Reinier de Ridder to win this fight. I'll take money line. I'll take Reinier de Ridder by submission on points at a minus 110, and then I'll take, will this fight go the distance? No, at a minus 210. Let's go, Reinier de Ridder. Reinier de Ridder for the win, my guy. Let's go. One of my 6 best bets, so let's go, my guy, Reinier de Ridder. Let's go. Jailton Almeida versus Sergey Spivak. We know that this fight got moved up. In my opinion, I think Reinier de Ridder should have been in this position, and Jailton Almeida should have been the opening up of the main card, but it doesn't matter. Jailton Almeida was a minus 250. Sergey Spivak was a plus 205. Now, minus 470 for Jailton Almeida versus Sergey Spivak, who's a plus 340. Savage versus Savage. We already know what both of these guys are capable of. They're both going to come forward and wrestle. Almeida just recently lost to Curtis Blades because of his telegraph takedowns and just destroyed Alexander Romanov. 6'3" Brazilian beast looking to explode on the polar bear. Sorry about that, guys. Now he's matched up against Sergey Spivak, a heavyweight grappler, very good subs, is his bread and butter. We know he just got a first-round submission over Tybora, which is absolutely insane. Jailton Almeida is parlayable. I like Jailton Almeida and Rinya Nakamura, little 2-leg parlay. We're going to go over all the props. Almeida by sub plus 130. Almeida by KO plus 310. Almeida by points plus 430. Spivak by sub plus 2000. Spivak by KO plus 800. Spivak by points plus 800. Fight goes the distance, yes, minus 350. No, plus 250. I think, honestly, that's wrong. That's wrong. The fight goes the distance with, let me just double check. Will this fight go the distance? No, at a minus 350. Yes, at a plus 250. So I can tell. I automatically knew. Automatically, just looking at the odds, I already knew. Okay, fight goes the distance. Yes, at a plus 250. No, at a minus 350. I prefer the no at a minus 350. Over 1.5 plus 100. Under 1.5 minus 128. Does this fight go past 7.5 minutes or no? Almeida by sub or KO minus 200. Almeida by sub or points, minus 165. Almeida by KO or points, plus 135. Spivak by sub or points, plus 600. Spivak by KO or points, plus 410. Give me Almeida by sub, plus 130, light sprinkle. Will this fight go the distance? No, at a minus 350. And then I'll take the over 1.5 at a plus 100. More than likely, the under 1.5 might hit. Jailton Almeida is known just to get these guys out of there really fast. But I'll take the over 1.5 at a plus 100. I'll take this fight doesn't go the distance at a minus 350. And then I'll take Almeida by sub at a plus 130. And then just to play really safe, I'll take Almeida by sub or KO at a minus 200. And then I'll take Almeida by submission on points at a minus 165. So we're taking a little bit more than usual. We're getting a little bit greedy with that fight. But let's go Jailton Almeida. And specifically, I'll go Jailton Almeida to win by submission, probably in the second or third round. If not, by TKO ground and pound inside the distance. Let's go. But I expect the over 1.5 to maybe hit. It's a little bit of a risk, but we play ball. Jamal Hill versus Yuri Prochazka. They get into each other's face. Shout out to Yuri Prochazka. This guy is doing the Lord's work with what he's doing, man. That's absolutely amazing. He brought out a girl with cancer, and he shaved off his head in order to show her that hair is nothing. Hair doesn't mean anything, and hair is just a symbol of, I guess, health. But he showed, I'll cut off all my hair if it means you'll be here. So I thought that was amazing. Minus 130 for Yuri Prochazka. Jamal Hill plus 110, and that could make, that makes me want to pick you to win. Plus 108 for Yuri Prochazka. Now Jamal Hill minus 132. So the odds completely flipped. Yuri Prochazka was a minus 130 a week ago. Now Jamal Hill is the one that's a minus 132, and Yuri Prochazka is the one that's a plus 108. A guy who eats punches for breakfast versus a crybaby. Here we go. This fight's a banger fight, a fight that will make you sweat, a fight that keeps you on the edge of your seat. Both of these guys are Payton's sons, but everybody's been saying that. Yuri's a former champion, unorthodox. My favorite KO from him was the one over Volkan Oezdemir and Dominic Reyes. 30 of his wins are by KO, basically. This guy is a kill or be killed fighter, always swings wild, but is a technician when it comes to forcing his will and breaking his opponent's will with his own volume and own relentless pressure. I will say sometimes he needs to rely on his chin a little too much, and we saw with that second KO loss to Payton, that wild head kick got him brutally. Now he is matched up against another former champ who has never lost his belt and is very good at managing distance and incredible striking differential, 7-3, and he's very good with his body kick. Accuracy, 73% takedown defense as well. And he lost to Payton as well at UFC 300. Most recently, a lot of people hate Jamal, and this is going to be one of those fights where a lot of people are going to be booing Jamal Hill till he loses. So I will say the best props for this fight: Yuri by KO plus 190, Yuri by sub plus 1,900, Yuri Hill by KO plus 190. So Yuri by KO plus 190, Hill by KO plus 190. Either side is both the same value. Hill by points plus 360. Hill by sub plus 1,900. Hill by KO or points minus 125. Yuri by KO on points plus 115. It's a pick your poison type of fight. What's it going to be? Hill by KO or points at a minus 125, or Yuri by KO or points at a plus 115. Fight goes the distance, yes, at a plus 200. No, at a minus 270. No, more than likely this fight's not going to go the distance. Over 1.5, minus 142. Under 1.5, plus 112. And this entire thing, my best prop is the over 1.5. I think this fight goes over 7.5 minutes. I think both of these guys are tough. Both of these guys have gotten knocked out, but it was to the champion, Alex Payton Pereira. I will say I like that this fight doesn't go the distance at a minus 270, and then I like the over 1.5 at a minus 142. And then I'll take, unfortunately, guys, I'm going to take Jamal Hill, and I'll take Jamal Hill by KO on points. I don't want to take Jamal Hill. I want to be wrong. Honestly, this is one of those fights where I didn't even put him in my 6 best bets because I just want to watch this fight for fun. This fight's going to be an absolute banger fight. I want Yuri Prochazka to win. We know that the things that he does outside the cage will stay in some people's hearts forever. So that guy is going to be in the Hall of Fame, in my opinion. Yuri Prochazka is one of the best to ever do it. And may the best man win. I don't care who wins. May the best man win. I can't wait for this fight. It's going to be an absolute banger fight. But I'm going to go with he's not my guy, but I'm going to go with Jamal Hill in order to set up the body kicks. We know Yuri Prochazka doesn't check any leg kicks. We know Jamal Hill has terrible footwork. He crosses his feet when he's walking, when he's trying to walk distance, or when he walks backwards. He doesn't walk backwards linear. He walks backwards in a straight line. He needs to walk backwards laterally. You know, there's a lot of people who, a guy like Yuri Prochazka could just overwhelm you and then just boom, knockout. Jamal Hill's winning the first and second, boom, knockout. Yuri Prochazka wins by KO. It doesn't matter what his qualities and qualifications were. He got knocked the fuck out. Give me Jamal Hill to win this fight. It's going to be an absolute banger fight. One of my lowest confident picks on the entire card, guys. Jamal Hill to win this fight. I'll go Jamal Hill by KO on points at a -125. And then I'll take this fight doesn't go the distance at a -270. And I'll take the over 1.5 at a -142. I really like that over 1.5. And I think it's going to cash. Now let's go. Let's go. 1914, let's go. Sometimes it's a little bit harder for me to find that timestamp, but with all the bouts order being rescheduled, with everything being changed, it's time. Umar Nurmagomedov versus Merab Dvalishvili. We know Umar was a +230 earlier in the week. Now Umar was a -310. Now +225 for Merab Dvalishvili. Umar Nurmagomedov -290. I'm going to read you guys all the best props. We already know what these guys are capable of, guys. We know Merab is what a company man looks like. A very tough matchup ahead of him. Merab is defending his belt for the very first time. Recently just destroyed O'Malley. Averages 6 takedowns per fight. Averages 6 takedowns per 15 minutes. His last loss was in 2018 to Ricky Simon, where Simon was taken down 6 times and he almost lost. Now taking on Umar Nurmagomedov, 6 fights in the UFC with 15 takedowns, 31 minutes of control time, 2 submission wins, and 2 KOs. He uses his front kick very well. Very heavy kicks, and he has a very heavy chain wrestling. Khabib, his prodigy. Sorry. So, obviously, he's wrestling hard. Khabib's prodigy. This guy is going to fulfill Khabib's prodigy. He's going to fulfill Khabib's dad's legacy. We know that this fight's going to be an absolute banger. We know kicks are going to be a massive factor. We know cardio will be a massive factor. And we know training with Demetrius Johnson is, if not the biggest factor. These guys have had one of the best camps, not only training with Mighty Mouse, Tagir Ulanbekov, Islam Makhachev, Khabib Nurmagomedov, all these guys in one training room together are masterminds trying to create the best specimen, the best physical specimen that can destroy a guy built like Umar Nurmagomedov. We saw the blueprint that Corey Sandhagen was able to make with Umar, able to defend a little bit of takedowns, keep the fight on the feet, but by the time he kept the fight on the feet, he got a little too tired. So I will say Umar is a guy who has this relentless pressure, and he can match a guy like Merab's cardio. I think whoever shoots the takedown first is going to be a battle of who can shoot the takedown first, because you need to establish that respect. And it all depends on how Merab sees Umar. If he has too much respect for him, he's not going to be relentlessly shooting. If there's like a knee up the middle or something that's consistently stopping him from shooting the takedown, maybe chain wrestling back, it's going to prevent his overwhelming waves of pressure. I do think Umar should be able to win this fight. It's going to be a very close battle. My bonus for the 6 best bets was that this fight goes the distance. So I'm going to read you guys the best props. Fight goes the distance. Yes at a -260. No at a +194. Over 4.5 -290. Under 4.5 +215. Umar by points -105. Umar by KO +850. Umar by sub +490. Merab by points +340. Merab by KO +1000. Merab by sub +2700, which is insane. I just had to throw that number out there. Merab by KO or points +230. Umar by KO or points -160. Umar by sub or points -200. Fight ends by points -270. Give me, will this fight go the distance? Yes at a -260. Give me Umar by sub or points at a -200. And then give me Umar by points at a -105. Honestly, if this wasn't a 3-month turnaround and Merab had a little bit more time in order to train, get the regimen ready, this almost feels like Aljamain Sterling and O'Malley, where Aljamain's turning around too early and he's stepping in forced to fight. Obviously, nobody's forced to fight in the fight game. You choose to do whatever you want. But styles make fights. And it would be devastating for a guy like Merab to lose his belt on the first title defense. But I do think it's going to happen. I'm going to go Umar Nurmagomedov to win this fight. And I'll go by 48-47 split. 48-47 split. Umar. And then 48-47 split for the winner. Umar Nurmagomedov to win this fight by 48-47 split decision. Let's go Umar. And I'll tell you guys my best props again. Will this fight go the distance? Yes, minus 260. Umar by points, minus 105. And then Umar by submission or on points at a minus 200. Let's go, Umar. Let's go, my guy. Let's go. 21-44 for the last fight on UFC 311. Renato Moicano versus Renato Moicano versus Islam Makhachev. Islam Makhachev minus 1,200, the biggest favorite on the card, versus Renato Moicano, who's a plus 680. That is right, guys. Renato Moicano is by far one of the biggest dogs when he was a moderate favorite over Beneil Dariush. I cannot afford to lose, my brother. I cannot afford. Moicano wants money. Moicano wants money, brother. Moicano wants money. I will say, guys, this is why we love the UFC. When there's guys who can step in, when the walls cave in, when everything gets closed, when it's almost time, when you're cutting weight, when you get too nervous, when you get scared, when you get hurt, when something out of the ordinary happens because you're on edge all fight week, the hero in shining armor will step up on short notice to try to dethrone the dominant champion, looking to break the lightweight record for the most consecutive successful title defenses in a row. Renato Moicano is going to step in against that guy. This is going to be one of the most amazing, one of my most anticipated fight. I know a lot of people are thinking he's going to get absolutely destroyed, absolutely washed. Renato Moicano is a sacrificial lamb going into this fight. No. Renato Moicano saved UFC 311. If it wasn't for Renato Moicano, I don't think Dawson would step in. I don't think Beneil wants that smoke. And I don't think Armin wanted that smoke either. Renato Moicano is doing something that more than 90% of the people in the UFC can't do. Step up to Islam Makhachev on short notice. Time after time, these people pull out against Islam Makhachev over and over again. The fact that you're stepping in the cage with a guy like Islam shows me, bro, you're not, even if you lose in this fight, you're not losing, bro. You did something that almost 90% of the people in the UFC roster and the lightweight roster can't do. I know you can't cut weight in 2 days, 3 days. But even on 1 week notice, who took it on 1 week notice when Oliveira pulled out? Volkanovski. There's only a certain amount of people in the UFC who are willing to risk everything in their career to step in for glory. This is what the UFC looks like, and this is what the best of the best look like. May the best man win. Obviously, I had the bonus for Islam Makhachev to win by unanimous decision. The bonus was the over 4.5, that this fight will go the distance. The bonus is going to change, guys. The bonus is Islam Makhachev to win this fight inside the distance. Moicano has an amazing record. We already know what Islam is capable of. He's a dominant champion. Khabib's in his corner. He averages almost 3 takedowns per fight. And he sticks to you like glue. Moicano has an amazing record of 20 wins, 5 losses with 1 draw. Most recently, he just beat Benoit Saint-Denis by doctor stoppage after the second round. Prior to that, he's beaten Brad Riddell, Drew Dober, and Jalen Turner since losing to RDA on short notice. Now he will be facing one of the biggest tests in his life, a title bout, his first ever title shot against the most dominant champion, looking to break the record for the most successful title defenses at lightweight. This is an absolute banger. Islam by sub plus 105, Islam by KO plus 190, Islam by points plus 550, Moicano by sub plus 1,700, Moicano by KO plus 1,200, Moicano by points plus 3,100, over 1.5 minus 138, under 1.5 plus 110. I like the over 1.5 at a minus 138. Islam by KO or points plus 105. Islam by sub or points minus 165. Islam by KO or sub minus 400. Moicano by sub or KO plus 800. Moicano by sub or points plus 1,300. Fight ends by sub minus 115. Fight ends by KO plus 150. Fight ends by points plus 480. My best props for this fight. And sorry if I'm a little too loud, guys. I'm getting too excited. I'm getting too amped up thinking about this fight right here. my best props for this fight. The over 1.5 at a -138. Fight ends by sub at a -115. And if you don't have that, I'll take the double chance. Islam Makhachev by KO or submission at a -400. I have Makhachev to win this fight inside the distance. You never know though. Moicano could be tough as nails. Something could go wrong. Islam breaks his hand and this goes all 5 rounds. I like Islam by sub at a +105. I might sprinkle Islam by KO to +190. But in my opinion, my best props are the over 1.5 at a -138, Islam by KO or sub at a -400, and Islam by submission or on points at a -165. If you think he's going to get a KO, Islam by KO or on points is a +105. But I'm going to repeat you guys my 3 best props. Over 1.5 -138, Islam by KO or sub -400, and then Islam by submission or on points at a -165. Honestly, I'm going to go Islam Makhachev to win this fight, and I'm going to go by 2nd or 3rd round submission. I'll go by 2nd round submission. Let me know what you guys think, guys. It's going to be a banger fight. May the best man win, guys. And Money Moicano is an absolute demon. And let's go Payton Talbott for the win. Let's go. Let's go. Lock of the week, Grant Dawson. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, guys. And I'll repeat it to you guys one more time. Over 1.5, -138. Islam Makhachev by sub or KO, -400. And Islam Makhachev by submission or on points at a -165. Let's go. Hope you guys enjoyed. And if you guys haven't already, go watch my 6 best bets in Lock of the Week. I'll see you guys in the next one. Lock of the Week, baby. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. See you guys in the next one. Peace. The best is blessed, baby. Let's get it. UFC 311. Let's get it. Peace.